Globalization? What is it? What is the definition of globalization? When did globalization begin? What are the examples of globalization? How important globalization in our daily life? What would be the condition of the world without it? If you want to know the answers, just keep watching. A simple definition of globalization. Globalization means the speed up of movements and exchanges of human beings, goods and services, capital, technologies, and cultural practices all over the planet. Globalization is about the interconnectedness of people and businesses across the world that eventually leads to global cultural, political, and economic integration. It is the ability to move and communicate easily with others all over the world in order to conduct business internationally. What is globalization in the economy? According to the Committee for Development Policy, globalization can be defined as the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of the growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, the flow of international capital, and the wide and rapid spread of technologies. What is globalization in geography? In geography, globalization is defined as the set of processes of economic, social, cultural, technological, and institutional that contribute to the relationship between societies and individuals around the world. It is a progressive process by which exchanges and flows between different parts of the world are intensified. When did globalization begin? The history of globalization. For some people, this global phenomenon is inherent to human nature. Because of this, some say globalization began about 60,000 years ago at the beginning of human history. Throughout time, human societies exchanging trade has been growing. Since the old times, different civilizations have developed like commercial trade routes and experienced cultural exchanges. And as well, the migratory phenomenon has also been contributing to these populational exchanges, especially nowadays since traveling became quicker, more comfortable, and more affordable. This phenomenon has continued throughout history, notably through military conquest and exploration expeditions. But it wasn't until technological advances in transportation and communication that globalization speeded up. It was particularly after the second half of the 20th century that the world trade accelerated in such a dimension and speed that the term globalization started to be commonly used. The following below are the 8 examples of globalization. Number 1, economic globalization. Number 2, financial globalization. Number 3, cultural globalization. Number 4, political globalization. Number 5, sociological globalization. Number 6, technological globalization. Number 7, geographic globalization. And number 8, ecological globalization. The benefits of globalization. Globalization has benefits that cover many different areas. It developed economies all over the world and increased cultural exchanges. It also allowed financial exchanges between companies, changing the paradigm of work. The origin of goods becomes secondary and geographic distance is no longer a barrier for many services to happen. Negative effects of globalization. Globalization is a complex phenomenon. As such, it has a considerable influence on several areas of contemporary societies. Let's take a look at the main negative effect of globalization has had so far, which is the negative effects of globalization on the environment. Many critics have pointed out that globalization has negative effects on the environment. Thus, the massive development of transport that has been the basis of globalization is also responsible for serious environmental problems such as greenhouse gas emissions, global warming, and air pollution. At the same time, global economic growth and industrial productivity are both the driving force and the major consequence of globalization. They also have big environmental consequences as they contribute to the depletion of natural resources, deforestation, and the destruction of ecosystems and loss of biodiversity. The worldwide distribution of goods is also creating a big garbage problem, especially on what concerns plastic pollution. What would be the condition of the world without globalization? A billionaire businessman emphasized that no one can stop globalization and said that trade sanctions are like bombs. I think globalization cannot be stopped. No one can stop globalization. No one can stop trade. If trade stops, the world stops. Trade is the way to dissolve the war, not cause the war, he said. If there was a way to travel back in time and stop globalization before globalization even started, how would the world look like today? Without globalization, the world would be a closed system. A closed system meaning we would not know what was going on in other countries. This also means no sharing of inventions and discoveries. We would not have affluent countries colonizing poorer countries because affluent countries would not know about the natural resources found in the poorer countries. Overall, there would not be any categorization of rich and poor countries. There would be no need to form international organizations like IMF and World Bank as the relationship between the countries would be non-existent.